We'll now begin with questions. Madam Secretary, let me begin talking about your sanctions enforcement efforts. Last month, Treasury took multiple sanction actions against the Russian government and individuals in Russia and other entities in response to a number of malign activities, including but not limited to meddling in the 2020 elections, the poisoning of Alexei Navalny, the SolarWinds cyber attack, and in the past I've expressed concern about their overseas accounts, the Kremlin using to undermine these effectiveness. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges in enforcing the sanctions you're asked to push forward?
Well, thank you for that question. Let me just start with Russia and say that we're firmly committed to using the full breadth of Treasury's authorities to target the range of Russian malign activities, included those you mentioned. And we do believe that this poses a very significant threat to U.S. national security. More generally, Treasury believes in the warranted strategic and judicious use of sanctions. We see them as a very powerful tool to discourage malign actors, promote accountability, and propel positive changes in behavior of foreign enemies and adversaries. And we think that they have significantly advanced U.S. national security. But I've asked my Deputy Secretary, Wally Adeyemo, to lead a review of our sanctions program and policy to make sure that we use sanctions strategically with clearly defined goals and implemented as part of a broader integrated strategy. He's going to be focusing on identifying conditions that make for the successful use of sanctions and trying to understand what other complementary actions need to be taken. He tried to develop a framework through which to evaluate potential sanctions actions and look at the possibility of coordinating more closely with other countries so that the sanctions that we impose are more powerful and have a larger effect.
Sure, and I think the coordination with our allies is essential, but can you at least, so folks watching can help understand the kind of tactics we see, not just Russia, but others use to evade these efforts?
Well, certainly there are efforts at evasion of sanctions, and this is something that we try to address to the maximum extent possible. When we're working jointly with our allies, the odds, the difficulty of evading sanctions becomes higher. And that's one important reason I think we need to collaborate with other countries in imposing these sanctions.
And just make sure as you go forward that you let us know what kind of resources you need in a changing world to move forward on all those efforts.
Thank you. I think that our budget includes funding to make sure that this is an expanding portfolio. It's become much more important in recent years, and the resources we've devoted to it have increased substantially.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Womack.